guys, it's February 18th, 2022, and I'm Kimberly from Fat Quarter Shop. And today's live stream is going to be a lot of fun because we're going to talk about a lot of upcoming things that will be coming out at Fat Quarter Shop over the summer. And we are also going to show current sew-alongs, and those are going to include a lot of free patterns. Some are paid patterns, or you have to buy the book, but a lot of them are free. So I have lots of stuff to show you today, and there should be a good variety of colors, combinations, styles, even sizes of quilts. So we're going to have a ton of fun today. Now, last week on Friday, we talked about I had gone to Lori Holt's house for our Scrappiness is Happiness book, video, and photo shoot. So we're currently working on finalizing the book, and we've had a week to pull together some photos. And right now what I'm going to do is give you a sneak peek of some photos. And while I'm talking, we'll just kind of just display those photos. The book is going to come out in July, and this is just a little tease of some of the items in the book. Most of the props that you see are vintage. The book includes 32 quilts of varying sizes. We have the block instructions, and we also have the quilt instructions. So if you see a block you like, you could make just one block if you wanted. Now that shopping cart that you just saw and that little scale right there, those are all fabrics that came directly from Lori's stash. And the book is all about using your stash, using what you have, and how to store your leftover fabric so that you can build a stash. And it's got a lot of great tips in it. The book is well over 200 pages. I think it's around 210 right now. So you're going to get a lot of value for your money with this book, and it is amazing. And all of those sewing machines you see right there, those are all vintage. She has lots and lots of them. So we started with about 6 and then kind of lowered it. And those are all vintage pin cushions. So we hope you pre-order the book. And it's going to be great because it's published by It's So Emma, which is our company, and we really take pride in our instructions. And most of the quilts in the book use Riley Blake fabric. Well, actually all of them do. And any of the ones that have fabric that's still in print, we have listed in the book the SKU number. So there you go. So if you'll have any questions on Scrappiness is Happiness, you can always ask. I'm sure Lori's in the chat and can answer, and I'm happy to answer, but they're all very scrappy and they all have a different feel to them. And the instructions are magnificent. And there's lots of, in the beginning of the book, there's a whole section on how she plans her scrappy stash. And at the end of the book, she has lots of tips on binding, backing, just different things that she hasn't done before. So that's going to be awesome. So I hope you enjoyed those photos. They were a lot of fun to take. And we did some Instagram and some reels and stuff like that. So if you want to check that out, you can find that from last week on our Instagram or Facebook. The next thing I want to show you is Designer Mystery 2022. So right here is our first block. You know, this is just the block. It's our 15th time to do the Designer Mystery, and there's 3 ways to buy it. You can buy just the blocks, or you can buy the finishing kit. The finishing kit is for all of the finishing around it, and you can also buy the backing set. So every year that we've done this, we have 12 different designers. This year, they're all Moda Fabric designers, and so with your pattern will come the designer and where you can find them for their website or their blog. And we do encourage you to buy the finishing kit and the backing set. This will start in June 2022 and go through May 2023. The finishing kit comes in a keepsake box, and it does have this quilt label. We just added borders to the quilt label. The finishing kit comes with the pattern for the fabric for the sashing, borders, and binding. And then if you buy just the blocks, then you just get the block pattern. And the backing set comes with 7 5/8 yard. And usually we ship the backing set with your first block and your finishing kit with the first block. And we have a video out right now that shows lots of behind the scenes photos of the quilt and it finished, and it's actually behind me, so you can actually see a little sneak peek of it right now. So you can see it right there, and we're just you can see that this block right here is right there in the center, so you can kind of see that how they go. That's the center, that's block 1, and then the blocks around it are part of the finishing. And the fabric is by Camille. It's her first collection without her mom, and we're super excited about it. It is beautiful. We have been doing this for 15 years, so we love this program, and this will probably be the last time I talk about it or the last time I show it. It does always sell out every year. So I think for the last 5 years it's sold out, and so if you want it, this is probably the last time I'll be talking about it. So that's Designer Mystery 2022. The next thing I wanted to talk about was what we did last week. So last week, if you missed our live stream, go back and watch it. It was February 11th, and I did a demo on the first part of our Heartfelt Quilt Along. We have raised over $64,000 as of today, and we are raising money. All the money goes directly to Make-A-Wish. We are sold out of the kits, but the pattern is completely free. And you can find the fabric requirements, and you can order all the fabric on fatquartershop.com. You can use fabric from your stash. You can do anything you like. Now, block 2, I'm going to have a demo on March 4th. I'm going to be out of town attending Nashville Needlework Market, so that will be pre-recorded, but it will be just like the one I did last week where I show you everything. So what I wanted to show you is, as I am going along in a quilt, I do like to build my quilt as I go. So I went home last Friday after the live stream, and I finished all 5 blocks. So on the demo, I showed one of the blocks, and you saw in that demo that I circled where it went in the quilt. If it had sashing above or below, I went ahead and added it. And then as I do block 2 or block 3 or block 4, I'm going to add to it so that when I get to the finishing at the end, I won't be overwhelmed, because I've taken really small steps as I go to keep building my quilt. And that's one thing you can do. So, you know, it's only, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7. It's only 7 seams that I added, but it will help me at the end not feel so overwhelmed. And we're always trying to raise a lot of money for Make-A-Wish, and so we always try to add value. So this year we have a pop-up image. Our first milestone was reached, and this is the Hearts of Flutter table runner, completely free. So it takes the blocks that I just showed you, puts it in a different fabric collection, and it's free. The second milestone was when we reached 60,000, and so when we reached 60,000, we released this pattern. So I'm going to show it to you. This one came out last Saturday. So on this one, what we decided to do was represent childhood cancer colors. The orange represents leukemia. You can change the color based on the type of cancer. And the plum is symbolizes the color for cancer caregivers. And Angel designed this based on a flag to put all 3 colors together to show the bond that children and caregivers give to fight childhood cancer. And I'm going to, so you can see the flags go left and right. And we did a flag wave pantograph with Gina of Thread Graffiti to kind of continue the motif of the flag. So if you donated to get us to the 80,000, make sure you use this free pattern. I'm also going to show it in the front. Just if you want to see it kind of overall. I did want to show the backing too. Angel made this sample, and the fabric collection here is Twinkle by April Rosenthal, and this right here is Bella Solid. So these are the Twinkle fabrics. They have little tiny stars. So I think you'll love that. Now, the main quilt in Heartfelt was designed by Corey Yoder. It finishes at 76 by 84, and we will be talking about that throughout the beginning of 2022. The next item I want to talk about, I think you've probably seen a little bit on this, and I've talked about it quite a bit. But I want to kind of start from the beginning and just kind of show you what Lori has envisioned for this. So the Chicken Salad Sew Along is designed by Lori Holt, and there is a free pattern on Riley Blake's website. And the free pattern is to make the quilt. You do need to buy the Chicken Salad Applique templates, Sew Simple Shapes. We are sold out until May, and that's just due to demand and supply. But, you know, we hope they come in before May. So this is option 1, making a chicken quilt using the cookbook fabric collection. The second version that she showed this Monday on her blog is the Kettles On block. And this one is, the pattern is not free. You would find it in the Farm Girl Vintage book on page 39. And this will make a kitchen quilt. And I'm going to put I'm going to make the blocks using the same quilt kit. The one thing I'm going to do different, well, I'm not going to do anything different. I'm going to put these blocks in here. But I am going to wait until I'm completely done to put them in here, because I have to decide where they look the best, and you won't know that until the very end. So this is your second option, is to follow her blog, use the setting, but make blocks from her Farm Girl Vintage book and her Farm Girl Vintage 2 book. She's going to release every Monday what block she does that's pieced. Now, the next thing I want to show you is some pop-up images of what she showed in her video on Friday. So the first picture is Hattie, and that's the name of the chicken. All the chickens are named. My kids thought that was hilarious because I'm going to show you how my kids are involved in this quilt. So this is Hattie, and this she does a video last Friday, which was February 11th. And on that video, what she does is show you how to applique at the beginning. At the last 10 minutes, she's going to talk about this next part. So the next part is the Rise and Shine Rooster. Now, if you want to make a third quilt, which is a chicken quilt, but you want it to be pieced, she has 3 ideas for you, or several ideas. You can make 12 blocks using the 12-inch Rise and Shine Rooster, which is what this is. It's from Farm Girl Vintage 2, page 113. Or you could do the Mama Hen block from Farm Girl Vintage 1, and this is the Mama Hen. Or you can do 6-inch baby chick blocks from Farm Girl Vintage 1 combined with egg blocks. So you can see the baby chick, eggs, and you could sew those 4 together to create a 12-inch block. And so with that, I'm going to kind of show you again. And I do encourage you to read her blog that she posted on Monday and watch her video from last Saturday. So you can take this quilt kit and make an applique chicken quilt. you can take the kitchen blocks that she's going to show and make a kitchen pieced quilt. You can make a pieced chicken quilt using the version she just showed, and you could do all rise and shine roosters. You could do all mama hen roosters. You could do all baby chicken eggs, or you could do 4 rise and shine, 4 mama hen, 4 baby chicks. So you have like ultimate options with this, which is super awesome. I'm going to show you, now I've made this, and now I'm going to show you some pop-up images of a couple of weekends ago. That's my son, Will, and what we did is we spent 3 hours together, and I had cut all of the finishing from here, and I took this and I kind of drew lines with my pencil of the sections I needed to make. And then what I did after that is I wrote numbers and letters, and that is him pretending to be happy. He was not happy to do this, but he did have fun. So we had fun, and he thought it was funny that Lori had all the chickens named, and he wanted to know why they were named Hattie and Edna and where did those names come from. And then he was like, did we murder the chickens? Why is it chicken salad? And I was like, do you want to call Lori and ask her? Because she designed it. We had a lot of fun. But what I want to show you is how I'm staying ahead on this one. So I sewed this exactly like the cover image. So for example, I called this number 1 right here. And I kind of started easy. And then I kept it labeled alphabetes because obviously I'm going to do this, put this together a long time from now. So this is number 1 and I have it marked. So when I come back and start building my quilt, I will give this to Will and he will lay it out just like this. He'll follow the instruction, follow the layout and my little numbering system, and then we'll put the blocks in and he'll probably hand them to me for me to sew. And then on my board, then one below it is number 2. It's right there. And then number 3. So this helps me when I get to the very end that I've already done all of this. It took 2.5 hours actually that I timed it. Now that does not include the cutting. The cutting was done before I started. Okay, I'm getting them out of order. So I'll take this back home, but I will not assemble this one until I get all 12 pieced blocks so that I can lay out the fabric. I did label the left border and the right border as Y and Z. And so I have them labeled Z, and then I have Y somewhere. I think it's up here. And I'm going to keep everything on this design board until we're done with the sew along, and it's a 12-week sew along. So you'll just follow everything on Lori's blog. Now next week I won't be here because I am going to Atlanta with my daughter, and she's going to be competing in a dance competition in Atlanta. But I will show on social media my block too. I am going to replicate exactly what Lori does. So there won't be anything original going on with what I do. I'm just going to be using her as an inspiration and following what she does. So you can check out what I do then, and then obviously when I come back and show my sew along progress, you'll see lots more blocks. The next thing I wanted to show you that I've been working on is the Flea Market Quilt Along, also by Lori Holt. So we'll do a pop-up of our, let's see, the sew along dates. And this is the sew along where in January you started with the center, and then this month and next month you work on the churn dashes, and then starting April you work on basket blocks, August floral blocks, and then the border in December. What I decided that I wanted to do is I wanted to make just the basket blocks because this quilt is very big and I have just so many big quilts and I love baskets. So I decided I'm just going to do the baskets. So we have a free setting from Lori. Now obviously you need the book for the blocks, and I have gone ahead and I have made the first couple of basket blocks. I'm trying to finish all of them before I do my tutorial on the YouTube channel. And I'm just using the leftover fabrics I have, but you can use the same kit, or you can just start with the fat quarter bundle. And this is a new tray. It's called melamine tray, I think. And so I just thought they were cute, so I kind of been displaying them on there. Now with this, and I'm going to have a tutorial in April, and the tutorial is going to be a lot about triangle paper, and I will show you more in April. But what I wanted to show you is, because I use triangle paper, sometimes I have an extra half square triangle. So anytime that I have leftover extra half square triangles, I'm keeping them, and then I might be able to incorporate that in my backing. And these are just extra corner squares that I had when I cut 3.5 or 2.5 inch squares. So I just kind of keep them, and then I'll just use them in my next blocks. So if this is too big of a commitment, this one, you can do this. The blocks finish at 10.5 inches square. So these are 10.5 inch blocks. So that's another thing I've been working on. And I'm gonna hold all the questions until the end and answer them all at one time. The next thing that I've been working on is Stronger Together. So this is to benefit UNCF, and we have already raised over $9,000. So I want to show you each of the blocks and talk a little bit about them and kind of what I did. So I am using the fabric collection by Moda. It's Creativity Glows for these, and then this right here is Beyond Bella, which is a white. So I wanted to show you some tips and kind of what I've done, and I'll also show you the original blocks. So this block is called the texture block. It's a very simple block. You make it 4 times. So I made it 3 times right here, just to show you. And you can see that my blocks kind of came out really nice, and they come out somehow magically exactly 12.5 inches. So we have this 12.5 inch ruler, and also on this ruler there is also a left-hand version if you're left-handed. So what I did, I'm going to show you my little piece of paper, is when I'm sewing, I will sit and write notes and make my block bigger and trim it down. And I do that so that my blocks will come out exactly 12.5 inches. So this is something that you could kind of incorporate in your sewing if you want to be as kind of crazy as me. And to cut it down, what I do is I'm going to fold it in the center both ways. And kind of create a little plus sign right there. And then on the Creative Grits ruler, there's a white line here and a white line here. Let me see, right there. Sometimes it's hard to, let me see, I don't really see that crease. I'm gonna try that again. So I'm going to put it right there. And it looks about center because I've got an even amount. Now it's not going to matter, but my thing is I want it to be 12.5 inches. So I do waste fabric doing this, but when you lay out the blocks, they all measure exactly the same. So that was fun to be able to make that one bigger and trim it down. So I'll keep these together. And now I can throw this away. So that is the texture block. So that's part 1. The second week was block 2. And I have a lot going on with this one. This is called the Legacy block. And I started with the half square triangle that goes right here using H600 triangle paper. There are a lot of points right here because you have 4 points intersecting. So I pressed open all of this. Now when I got to assembling the block, I did press to one side, but for this, I felt like it had to be pressed open for this to look nice. And I did lots and lots of pins for adding my corner squares, because when you start adding a corner square to a really big square, it's gonna shift, so lots and lots of pins. And then I have a little pop-up image to show you right here, is when I got let's see. Oh, I think that I sewed those together wrong. I think that's what I'm showing there. I can't remember what that image is. Let's see. Maybe I think I sewed that on the wrong corner. So all of those blue squares I had sewn over here on accident. So that's an example of it should have gone over here, and just showing you that I make mistakes too. I couldn't remember what it was. But I did want to show you when I got to right here, and you're adding that corner square. When you trim off, you have about this much. So I went ahead and just made them into 3.5 inch unfinished. So I just sewed on the line, and then I trimmed them down to 3.5 inches using a Creative Grids ruler. And then I went ahead and made this label for the back. So you don't need all of them, you only need them from one block. But I just put them into a friendship star. I used Beyond Bella here, which is this print. And I put a label from Sweetwater in the center, and this quilt will be auctioned off. And because it's going to be auctioned off, you'll have my little label in the center. So again, this is the block, but another teaching point I have. So here's the block. I'm going to put it on one side. If you wanted to change this block, there's a lot you can do. And I always encourage you to kind of step outside your zone. So you could make it more of an arrow, where it's like a dark arrow, light arrow, dark arrow. You could make a whole quilt out of this, just building an arrow. You could put all 4 centers in the center, all the darks in the center, and have more of like a little circle. This is more of an opposing arrow. You could also do something like this where you're creating stripes. So even though we give you this free pattern, there's a lot you could do with that, because you could make this. I think on this quilt, the stripes and the arrows wouldn't really work, but I do think a block that looks like this would look beautiful here also. So that's just an idea for you to kind of, as you're sewing, you can always kind of think about that. So those were really easy. Those 2 were really easy. This next one is a little bit harder. And this one is really a lesson on, this is called the zigzag block. And this is really a lesson on taking a pattern and doing it the way that you feel is best. So when I was looking at the pattern, I think we might have changed it to match. Never mind. I think it was written as half square triangles and I must have changed it. But what I wanted to do was make this flying geese. You could also piece it with half square triangles. There are lots of ways to piece with flying geese. You can do the traditional method. You can use It's So Emma flying geese paper. You can use Eleanor Burns flying geese ruler. She has 2 sizes that make a total of 4 different ones. When you're doing the traditional method, you could use Doug Lico's mini folded corner ruler, or you can also use the Creative Grids ruler, and it has the trim lines. So it gives you the trim lines here. So there are lots of options when you are sewing with flying geese. So on this one, what I did is I did use the Eleanor Burns ruler, and the small one makes this size, which is the size you need. You could also use paper. This is a tip for traditional method. And then this ruler has all the information right here on the sizes it makes. And on this one, I did press everything open before I started putting them in rows. So I pressed the little units, the little flying geese open, and then pressed each row opposing ways, and then this. Cherie Spain of Sew Hooked on Treasures designed this quilt in 2 colorways. I'm going to show you the blocks from the subtle version first. And these are the quilt kits that we're offering and the different blocks as she designed them using art gallery fabrics. So this is the subtle version. And if you noticed in my zigzag, I did change the placement of the fabrics on my zigzag just to be different. So this is the subtle version. This is the striking version. I'll kind of put it over here. So this is the striking version, which is a little bit deeper colors. And we do have quilt kits left. Okay. So that is the original. And you can see that I have just changed it up a little bit for my version. And I'm going to be auctioning my version off for UNCF. I'm also going to be auctioning off the cross stitch for UNCF. And then now I am gonna answer questions because I think there's too many that have come in. Do I add quilt information to your labels before sewing them into the back? No, I just have the name on them, that's all. And then sometimes my labels have the year. It depends what Sweetwater sends me. But yeah, all I do is put my name. Dana Henson is asking, do you have a tutorial of making the Flea Market star block? You always have great ways to simplify and make block sewing efficient and accurate. I'm going to do tutorials on the basket blocks. Lori is going to be doing some other tutorials, so I would be watching her channel. Mary asks, couldn't you have made a strip set and constructed them with the white and triangle papers? So here you could construct this block with all half square triangles. I think that that would be even more seams. Anina asks, I want to be crazy and have blocks that are the right size. I would like some more videos on how to do this. Please add to your list of requests. So this week on our members only live stream on Tuesday, I did that on the brick house quilt. So if you want to become a member, you can find that video. And I started out pretty simple. I give you a formula on how you can size double or how you can shrink in half. It will only work on squares and rectangles, and that's what I would encourage you to start with, but I would check out that members only video for those tips. And I would suggest just doing something very small and then from there moving on, because things do get a little bit more difficult when you get into half square triangles and flying geese. Well, not flying geese, more hourglass. Shelly commented, I made the Stronger Together stitch along writing background fabric today. I'm a newbie, so this is my first quilt. I made a lot of mistakes, but it's just for me, and I'm so proud. Yay! Maybe you're picking your backgrounds today. Oh, Lori says my border blocks look great. So much fun. Yes, thank you. And then it says, Will deserves a medal. Does this mean it's his quilt? I don't think he wants a kitchen quilt, but he definitely had a lot. We had a lot of fun. He thought it was going to, well, his brothers play basketball, and he takes classes, but he doesn't like play, I guess, in leagues because he has no interest. And so his brothers were gone, and so he was the only one home, and he had to do it. And he was just like, maybe I would have rather gone to basketball. Anyway, and then when Kevin came home like 2.5 hours, he's like, you're still making him work? I was like, absolutely. But he had fun. Chris asks, what is the quilting pattern on the Mystery 2022 block you're sewing? So the pantograph, you can ask Thread Graffiti, thread-graffiti.com. That's Gina Tell. She might be in the chat, but that is one of the pantographs that I personally love. So she uses it a lot on my quilts. RMM, the block of the month quilt, what size is it if you also purchase the finishing kit as well? 80 inches square. And each year it's different. Some years it's smaller, some years it's bigger. The size, we always keep the blocks 12 inches finished, but we do change the setting based on what kind of design that we come up with. Sometimes it's square, sometimes it's rectangular. Bobby Paulson asks, I have a question about the Heartfelt Quilt Along. If I am getting the patterns as they're released, where might I find the information regarding sashing and size placement? That will come in the last finishing, so it will come later in the year. What is the blue quilt on the wall called? So that is our designer mystery quilt right here, and that is what I talked about in the very beginning, and it will start in June 2022. It is using a Camille fabric called Nantucket Summer. My Heartfelt blocks are 12 inches. Are they supposed to be 12.5? So those blocks should be unfinished 12.5, and then they should finish when they're in your quilt once you add your seams to 12 inches. My blocks never come out exactly, so it should be, you know, somewhere between 12.25 and 12.5. Tooth Throw is asking that I didn't add sashing to the bottom of some. Was that on purpose? Yes. So if you look at the finishing video, if you look at the video from last week and the finishing pattern, some of them are at the bottom of the row, some of them are at the top of the row, and some are in the middle. So I just look at the row and kind of go from the finishing pattern. Now, I have that because I purchased the quilt kit. If you don't purchase the quilt kit, that will come later, and you'll have to wait on that. Maxwell Studio asks, what does it mean when only one side has print and the other side is just white? Okay, I'll show it on here. So this fabric right here started, can we zoom in a tiny? So this is a solid blue right here. So this must have started out at the factory as a blue fabric. And they printed on top of the blue fabric. So this is the right side, and then this is the wrong side. So sometimes manufacturers do that, sometimes they don't. It kind of depends. Denise G asks, is there any paper piecing in the 2022 block of the month other than flying geese paper? I don't think so. Teresa Davison, do you have a plan for the quilting pattern for the brick house quilt? Finishing my top now. I don't. I haven't even thought about that. It will definitely be something, maybe floral. I might put florals on it. I kind of stick to, you can watch our video on the top 10 pantographs that we have, and those are like the ones that I use over and over, so I'll probably use one of those. Usually what I do is I send my quilt and Gina will give me suggestions, and then if I give her a suggestion that she thinks will look bad, she'll let me know. And that's what's great about having a long armor that you have a good relationship with and you use over and over, is that you trust them to tell you when it's not going to look good. But I will probably do a floral or waves or feathers. I might do feathers. Feathers might be better. Susie Ann Fearden, about adding the borders on the Heartfelt quilt. I do not see in the instructions on the printout for the block 1 release. Okay, so those, if you got the quilt kit, you would look at the finishing instructions. And if you didn't, then you'll just wait until the summer to do that. Christine is asking if there is extra fabric in the Heartfelt kit. I had an iron malfunction which stained one of my blocks. You should have about 5 inches extra on each piece of fabric. So that's kind of what we give you, is 5 inches. So hopefully you have enough, and you can always, some fabrics you'll have more left of and some you'll have less. So if you get to the last block, you can always change colors of something. Chris asks, do I have anyone that helps with the finishing kits if you have questions? You don't post anything about your block of the month, only when you sell them. If you ever have a question about the patterns, all you have to do is email our customer service and we will help you. And with block of the months, we have to order those 6 to 8 months in advance. So a lot of times we sell out, so we don't just keep promoting something. And the designer mystery block of the month, that was something we started 15 years ago. This one is very beginner friendly, but we always will help you with questions. Kathy asks, Kimberly, how much larger do you cut your fabric pieces so when you square them up, they are more accurate? Usually 1/2 inch. You could get away with a 1/4 inch, but I usually do 1/2 inch. Adrian says she gets confused when looking at the extra patterns that are released. Can you explain the block info? So the block info is in our main post. Our extra patterns are just in addition. If you have any questions, just email customer service at service@fatquartershop.com and we're happy to help you. Jean asks, can I please explain how fabric manufacturers figure out how much they're going to produce and how buyers predict how much fabric you purchase for resale? So what happens is, and all the companies are different, I'm going to give you kind of a general answer that kind of encompasses the companies, but what happens is a sales rep will come and they'll sit down with Kevin and I and we'll place an order. And then they will take all the orders from all the stores, and then whoever owns that company is going to make that decision. They're going to decide, do we order exactly what the stores have ordered? And some do that. Some will order 10% more or 20% more or whatever they think will sell in addition to that. And that's kind of just how it works. It's just a guessing game, but we do have to order at least a month earlier than compared to a year ago because of delays. So everything is even, we have a longer time to sell, but a shorter time to buy, if that makes sense. The Lori Holt book will be spiral bound the same way that Farm Girl Vintage is, and that book will ship in July. Cheryl is asking if the borders and binding for Sew by Row come in the last installment. Yes, they do. How was my Valentine's Day? Oh, it was good. I got flowers, so that's good. Yeah, they're in my bathroom. Might I ever offer a Prim type subscription? I'm not sure. Will there be a crochet pattern in her new book? No, but we have lots of crochet blocks in there, and she has tutorials on her YouTube channel for those. And coming up in the summer, she's going to have a granny square sew along. and she's going to launch that on her channel, but I'm also going to be participating and we'll be showing blocks, and I'm kind of showing you what I'm doing with that. Jacqueline asks, all my quilt blocks are measuring at 8.5 except 2. Those are measuring at 8. Will I have to trim the other blocks down? I would just, when you put your blocks together, so let's pretend these two blocks go together. Okay, so it's hard to see. Let me do it with, well, it's hard to see right here. Let me try this one. Okay, so you can see that this is a 1/4 inch wider, and that's normal. That happens all the time. So what you would do is take your blocks, and these aren't my blocks, so I'm not going to pin them, but I would pin right here. Well, I'll pin them. It's not going to hurt them. So I would pin right here. I did want to let you know the Little House pins came back in stock. I can show those to you real quick. Those came back in stock. Those are really hard to get. We have to get those from Japan, and they take like 3 months to get here. So we did just get more of these in. So I would first pin the outside. I would find the center and pin that. And then I would just kind of ease it with your fingers and just pin a couple times, and it will work itself out. And this happens all the time, unless I do the method where I cut my blocks bigger. They're gonna never be exactly the same. So, and especially because these are 2 different blocks. And then the way that I would sew this is you have fewer seams at the top, more seams at the bottom. I would put it in the sewing machine just like this, and as you're going, just kind of gently pull and pull your, I was going to call them needles, but they're pins. So pull these out as you go. So that's how you do that. In the designer mystery, will there be enough fabric to start? Yes. And the designer mystery is only pieced blocks, and it starts shipping in June, sorry. Okay. Will 12 fat quarters be enough to do the 2022 charity quilts? I'm doing them scrappy. I think 20 fat quarters would probably work. There are some half yards. I think you might need a little bit more than 12. Okay, so now I'm going to move to other stuff I've sewn on, and the next one is a free sew along. It is by Sherry McConnell. She is with the Quilting Life, and she has a YouTube channel, and she has a blog. So her February block is right here. And what I've done is I am making my 6-inch block using Flower Pot by Layla Boutique. And then I am making 3-inch blocks using Beyond Bella. And then what I'm doing here is, for this one, I'm just following these instructions. The one thing different that I did is on my hourglass blocks, I make them slightly bigger and then trim them down. If you want to make this 3-inch, you're going to trim these to 1.5-inch squares, and I'm going to start with 2.5-inch squares out of 2 background squares, 1 2.5-inch square from this green, 1 2.5-inch square from this green. Cut them on the diagonal and then sew them together after you have trimmed them to 1.5. So this is a free pattern. Now you probably shouldn't do the 3-inch. I'm just crazy. The 3-inch pattern is not included. This is January. And what I have decided to do, and I think I might have already shown you, is I've already made all of the churns for the churn dashes in blue. And then as I sew each month, when it comes out like the first Thursday of the month, I'm going to put green, and I guess this is kind of like a grayish in the inside and blue on the outside. And then I am going to make 6 of these, and I'm going to put them in little cubes. So that's fun. So Flower Pot, and then Beyond Bella, and Beyond Bella is coming out in April. Now these next ones, I have lots of blocks to show you. Right now, Riley Blake Designs has an event going. It's called RBD Block Challenge. This is this week's block, or this is a couple weeks ago. This is the Tulip block by Jill Finley. This is a 10-inch block, and that is what the instructions are written for. For some reason, I thought I should just be crazy and also make another small one. So this is a 5-inch block made exactly the same way, except I trimmed it down. And one thing that I did different here is we're going to zoom way in. If you look at how they wrote the instructions right here, they wrote these as rectangles. Maybe it's not this one. Yeah, it is. I did not do that. I did half square triangles. So I made half square triangles and added squares instead of the rectangle. And then here I added strips. So I added strips to the center. They added it as a rectangle. So there are times that I do change the instructions, and I'm always drawing it in electric quilt, and I just figure out what works best for me. I get better results with half square triangles than I do with corner squares. So that's why I did that. And for the 5-inch block, these are just, I used H100s for this. And we did do a video, like I said earlier this week, that's members only, to talk about how to size down a block. On that, I would just start small until you get used to it. And this fabric is Quilt Fair by Tasha Noel of Riley Blake, and I am using a red, a navy, and an aqua, and the pink sewing machine. So that's 4 colors. There are going to be some other blocks that are kind of sashing blocks, and those are going to use 2 different colors. So in total, I think I'm using six different SKUs from this collection. And just so you can kind of see, this is how I just start writing notes all over the place to get to the smaller blocks. This next block was from last week, I believe. It's called Sundial. It's designed by Christopher Thompson. And this one I made exactly how the pattern was written. I didn't make any changes or anything. So I used some half square triangle paper. And then, so this is like H200. So if this is H200, this is H100. And I was kind of thinking about, what am I going to do when I finish these quilts? Am I going to finish them the same? Am I going to finish them different? And I haven't decided yet. So I'll probably have to make that decision when we get closer. So that's last week's block. This week's free block is by Sandy Gervais. It's called Scrappy Churn Dash. And this one only took me like 30 minutes, so I was so excited. And then next week will be a break. So what they do is the first three Tuesdays of the month, they give you a free pattern. Of course, they're giving you the 10-inch. This is just my little bonus that I'm doing on my own. Next week will be a break, and then it'll start again in March, and they'll have 3 or 4 for March, and then they'll break, so that it gives you time to catch up. So this is kind of cute. That would be really cute if you made this block and you put this. That would have been so cute inside there. If you sized this down to fit inside there and have a churn dash within a churn dash, that would be really cute. So this is completely free. Now, another person who is offering you guys a free pattern is Pat Sloan. And anytime I see a anything free out there and it's one of my friends, I do try to sew along if I have the time. This one, I'm going to show you blocks 5, 6, and 7, which are the last 3 from the last 3 weeks. This one is called Block 5, Sugar Cookies. And I changed this one. Not only did I change it, yeah, I pieced it different. So on this one, I felt like there was a little bit too much white space right here. So I just made an hourglass with 1 color instead of 2 and just changed it a little bit. And these are finishing at 9 inches. So that's block 5. And this collection is also cookbook by Lori Holt. So I am making the one I showed you earlier and then this one. And on this one, I have picked a light blue, a dark blue, a red, and a background. And I'm using that throughout. Now there are some blocks that I might add different colors to. And this one I did, let's see, did I change this one? I did change it in that I added background here. And I did change because they had all the same colors this way, the same colors. So you can see when you see her different people's blocks, I kind of overthink, honestly, what I'm doing. And then there's a funny question from Lori Strauss, and she asked, do I ever not use triangle paper? No, I always use it. Anytime I'm making something, I'm going to use it with triangle paper, always. I prefer triangle paper. And I have little boys that like to pull the paper off. Somehow, Emma's never home, so so that's funny. And then Bonnie's asking how much each fabric did I buy. On all of these, I usually start with a yard and a half, except my background, I'll usually get 5 yards. And then as I go, if I need more, I'll order more. Now this one, I also did a little, it's pieced the same, except you see she has mediums here. I used 2 different colors here, where she used 1. And when I finished with block 9, there will be 3 in the center that I can put together, and I am going to put those together, and based on how it looks on the floor, I might move them in different directions. So again, this is the Sweet Dreams Sew Along by Pat Sloan, and her website is ilovetomakequilts.com, and I'm sure she would love for you to join her. So yeah, that was a real funny question about the thing. Okay, another free thing that I found out about in January is Susan Aki is working with Moda, and they are having an event called Branching Out, and they have 2 size blocks, 6.5 and 8.5. Oh, sorry, 6.5 and 8 inch. And I thought that this would be really fun to do with fig tree fabric. So I pulled out all of my green fig tree, and then I got on Etsy and ordered some really old fig tree fabrics. And I'm going to show you, and last week I did show you how I make these bigger and trim down. So far I have 24 done. I'm going to just show you them, and then I'm going to show you some layouts because I want to keep them together. So you can see I'm keeping them together because when I divide them at the end, this will go at the top of the quilt, this will go at the bottom. One side I made one color, one side I made the other. I make 2 blocks at one time, and I reverse the location of the fabric, and I do this 1 block at a time. I tried to do 2 blocks at a time. I tried to do more, and I was making too many mistakes. So 2 nights ago, so these are the first 12 that I did for January. I'm going to try to do 12 a month. And then at the end, I'll decide how I'm going to put them together. And these are the ones I made, I think, Tuesday night. And the most common size triangle paper is H200. And I did try to keep the color of the green a little bit slightly contrasting so that it would look. So I tried to do 2 totally different greens. This one didn't work out so well. I didn't think this one ended up looking so good. But You never know till you do it. So now what I'm going to do is, let's see, I'm going to keep these on separate stacks because that's just a Kimberly thing to do. And I will always know that there's 12 within. Now they have designed a finishing that's also free, and that is on the Motive Fabrics blog. And on that freebie, they show you piecing it together, similar to this, and starting with 61 blocks. So I'm going to show you just some different ways. This is kind of their intent. And then you can kind of see how the blocks are coming together. Oh, I'm going to have to mix up my stacks. Oh no, the world might come to an end. I might have to mix up my stacks. But I want to kind of show you what I do as I go. Because I don't always just do what the designer says. I kind of change things. Because that's what quilting is about, is having fun. And if I did everything and never changed anything, I wouldn't be, I guess, mentally challenged maybe. I like to make things hard and difficult and complicated. Maybe that's why I have 4 children, so that I can have a complicated life. I kept calling Emma last night and I couldn't figure out where she was because I thought it was Friday. And she wasn't answering, and Kevin was like, she's not answering because she's at dance. I was like, oh, sorry. I was freaking out. So this is the way that they have it designed to lay out. What I will do when I get to the end is not the entire quilt, but something like this. I'll start rotating blocks. You could do that, and I can show you how that would look. So there's a lot of things you can do. You can make it like this. This would be kind of cool, is to put 4 of these together and add sashing around it. You could I'm going to just work with 4 blocks because it's too many on the table. So you could do that like this. These don't look good together. Could do that. And it would kind of look more like a courthouse step. And then if I did that, I would probably put a sashing around it and then make this, like, consider this 1 block. You could do kind of like a little, let's see. You could rotate them where all the trees go up this way and all the trees go down this way. You could set them on the straight and just do straight and not do it on point. So there's a lot you can do with this, and that's what I think is fun about making a lot of scrappy blocks. So that is Branching Out by Susan Aki and Motive Fabrics. You can find all the information on her Instagram. She's YardGirl60, and Motive Fabrics online. They're also on Instagram. This next one I'm going to show in the front, and then I'll put on the table. Okay, so I'm going to put this one on the table and talk about this one. So I got this one back yesterday from Gina, so I'm so excited. Thank you, Gina, for doing this one so fast. This is a free quilt along that began in January. It was designed by Susan Vaughn, and it was hosted on Fig Tree Quilts. And I used Bella Solid 200, and then I used Blossom Fabric by Christopher Thompson in the color cover silver. And like I said, when my friends do free sew-alongs, I try, if I have the time, I mean there are times when I don't, I try to sew these along. So I wanted my quilting to be really tight on this one. And when I made my flying geese, I used Eleanor Burns paper. When I made my hourglass, I made them bigger and trimmed down. When I made my square and a square, I used square and a square paper. And you'll notice that on the end, I did not add, there were several borders. And the reason I didn't add is because I ran out of fabric and I wanted to be done. Here's my label. So I just made the label out of, I just put a Sweetwater label, added fabric, turned it under, and then Gina sewed it down for me. And I love this. So I'm not sure where I'm going to put this. You guys can comment and let me know where you think I should put this. But this is one of my first finishes for 2022. So that's awesome. Another quilt I made is for a gift for an employee who's about to have a baby. This is, and then, you know, since I made it, I decided, well, we ought to have a quilt kit. So this is going to be called the Dream a Little Dream Quilt Kit. We're using the Around the Block pattern by It's So Emma. And the fabric is D is for Dream from Paper and Cloth. It will be coming out in July. So this is the front. And on the back, I did the same thing where I just sewed this down on top. So that is his first gift. And then the second one, and when I gift it, I'll probably like roll it up like this or something. And then put a big, like a burlap bow or something and put it in a basket. The next one is, that collection, D is for Dream, has a panel on it, and it's where you can put a little circle on the month and then lay the baby, and you can tell, you know, how old the baby is. So I just took the panel, this is just the panel, and I just put it with the fabric on the back, and I didn't even do a label on this one, I don't think. Yeah, I didn't even do a label. So Gina quilted both of those, so thank you to her. And speaking of Gina, she came and filmed a t-shirt quilt because I did not feel that I could do it. So I just wanted to show you this and let you know that we put out a t-shirt quilt several weeks ago. And it's a great way to use old shirts, make a memory quilt, and so you want to check that out. And these are her son's shirts. My kids could not come up with enough shirts, so I haven't made one yet. And I love this hexagon quilting, but make sure to check out that video. In addition to this next video that I'm going to show you a little pop-up of, it's called How to Make a Pockets and Pies Apron. And that is like, I made this years ago, so I guess that was me a couple of years ago. And you can check out that video. That's our little tutorial Tuesday. And then now I'm going to show you some items that are new to the store. And then, of course, answer any of your questions. So we just got in some 108 wides. They do sell pretty fast, and I have been ordering deeper into them so that hopefully they will last longer. This is a great backing for the Heartfelt Charity Quilt. It's the same collection, A Beautiful Day, by Corey Yoder. So that's the first three. And the next three are from Minnick and Simpson and the Newport collection. And I think this blue came out really, really nice. So I just want to show those to you. And on this section, I just kind of come up with what I think that you guys want to see, the kind of stuff I like. This is the Newport bundle that went with the 108s. And you'll notice that 108 had a red, and that's because they reprinted an older one, and that collection had red, so it will go with more than just this. And we do have some brand new Jolly Bars out. One of them is Newport. And we're currently working on some future Jolly Bars right now, so that's fun. Now these came in like 2 days ago and I just about died. These are so cute. If I had little kids, my kids are way too old for this, but they would love this. This would be like going down that dinosaur train again, where I would probably make it and then put them all together completely wrong. And then this one I really love, and in it on the back there's a piece backing option. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's totally up my alley. So I do love these. There are some new white on whites. So we did a bundle called Moda White on White 1 yard bundle. And they are from 5 different collections. And of course the light is skewing them a little bit, but there's 6 different white on whites. And so it's always great to have some white on whites in your stash. So this is going home with me. We have some new laundry basket quilts. This one is called Lady Tulip. It came in, I guess, yesterday. And it's very reproduction-y and has some beautiful backgrounds in it. And Laundry Basket is coming out with more and more fabric, if that makes sense. So she's producing more fabric than she used to. And then Heather Ross, a lot of people love her. She's been a designer for a long, long time, and she has a brand new collection by Wyndham. So that came in. The next quilt we want to show you is called Geneva. It's an It's So Emma pattern designed by Crystal. And it's, of course, designed to go with triangle paper, because Kimberly does love triangle paper. So, and then we'll pull it this way. And having that green in the center kind of grounds it. So this one is an It's So Emma pattern, both in paper and PDF. And there's a quilt kit, and this is the same collection as our charity quilt, A Beautiful Day by Corey Yoder. So that is a new kit. The second quilt is called Rain or Shine. This is also that same fabric collection, but this is our Jolly Bar design. So if you want this pattern, it only comes in the Jolly Bar. Angel designed it, and it's made up of 4 very large blocks. So, okay, so there's the block. We're gonna pull it, and then you'll see 2 on each section. Oops, sorry. Yep, so that's the first block, and then you see that the next block comes. Sorry, the quilts are sticking today, I'm not sure why. And then I'll go to the left. And then you'll see this is another star. And this quilt's really awesome because it has a very wide inner border and then a big outer border. And then you'll see the 4th block. So we did do a lot of kits in this collection because I love it. So when I love a collection, I kind of go a little crazy. This next kit is called Needles and Pine. This is a Jolly Bar design that only comes with the Jolly Bar. Angel designed it. The fabric collection is Prairie Days, and it's made by Nancy, and Mike at mylongarmquilts.com quilted it. And then we'll go this way. Let's see. This is the backing. And they're little spools, so that's why we called it Needles and Pins. So cute. And then the big announcement is the zippers are back. So Lori Holt had these zippers. They only come in the package. You can't buy them individually. But the zippers go with her Happy Place Decor Zippy Bags panel. The panels are sold out, and they're going to come back in stock in March, April. But the zippers are here, so I don't want to wait to show this because the zippers might sell out before the bag panel comes back in. But Lori made me these bags, and she has a video on how to make these on her YouTube channel. So she made, out of each panel, you can make these. So she just used different lining fabric. So I'm going to start using these. And the best thing about her zippers is they meet in the middle, so you can go left, right. You don't have to worry about if you're left-handed or right-handed. And I'm going to start using these now. But the zippers are back in stock, so get the zippers while you can. Okay, so I'm going to answer all your questions. How do I decide what size border to add to a quilt? So if you have smaller blocks, I would do a smaller border. If you have big blocks, I would add a bigger border. I tend to prefer bigger borders rather than smaller. And I kind of just go with what the pattern has and then adjust as I feel I need it. So Emma is going to continue dancing. So what she's decided, well, she has to commit this year. Like, we don't quit in the middle of anything. So what she's committed to doesn't even end until like the end of June. And so what she's on right now is she's on 2 dance companies. Same company, 2 companies within that company. She's just going to continue with one, and then she's going to do drill team. So she's going to continue. It's just not, instead of, 10 dances, she'll be in 3. Something like that. So I am excited that she did not quit but with her schedule next year, it's going to be kind of crazy. Do my kits contain enough fabric to make blocks larger and trimmed down? And can I explain how you figure out how big to make the components of the block? So I did a video on our members only. I would check that out. It comes with experience, I would say, and just start small. If we usually put about 5 inches extra in the kits we cut, you'll have to kind of sit and read the instructions to see if it'll work. A lot of times I don't buy kits. A lot of times I just buy the yardage or a bundle so that I have enough wiggle room. Am I going to ever add a membership option to our floss tube channel? We don't plan to right now. Stacy asked, I'm sorry if this has been asked before, but for the designer mystery, what is the level of experience? This year, beginner. Crafting a Plan Live asked, do you not like branching out layout because it's on point, and you've said you don't like on point? Exactly. I don't enjoy putting together quilts on point and at all. In fact, it's probably one of my least favorite things to do. So I'm probably going to do something different. I might put it together. We'll see. But I do like to consider my options. So many projects, and how do you keep track of what you're working on? We have a quilting journal that I keep, and I don't have it with me today. It's I left it at home, but I keep track of what I'm doing on there. Oh, Heidi, this is a funny question. Do you make your own decisions on fabric choices? Yes, I do. Sometimes I get Lori's help, but most of these I did. Sometimes Sarah helps me too. So I do get help sometimes. Sometimes I do it, like on the Sherry one, I did those. On the Pat Sloan, Sarah helps me a little bit. And then if I ever need like help in the moment, I'll just text Lori. How many yards of the 108 would you suggest for the Make-A-Wish quilt? Can we go to the size? It's on here. Let's see. To divide 86 by 36. 2.5 yards. Are the zippers number 3 or number 5? Well, I have no idea. I don't know anything about zippers. Includes 8 16-inch zippers with double pulls. Yeah, I don't know. How's Piggy? Oh, he's so good. We have this like new neighbors and they're really weird. Like they haven't moved in, but their dog has moved in. I'm not even joking. The dog has moved in. So the dog just sits in the house all day and barks all day long. And Kevin was like, "Why is Piggy barking so much?" I'm like, "Walk outside." So there's this dog that lives next door by himself. It is the weirdest thing. I'm like, "What is going on?" I haven't met them, but I think it's so odd. So he's kind of like excited because there's this dog next door, but he just sits and barks all day in the middle of the house. It's so weird. Do we sell fabric by the bolt? Yes, you can just order 15 yards or 10 yards each one. I would go with 15, and we do have a bolt discount. You can just put a note in the order and say, "Please give me bolt discount" after you order the 15. Quilt kits come without backing. They usually come with binding. How easy is it to make the Jolly Bar pattern bigger? On that, it's easy. You just add more blocks to the top and the side usually, because usually we have just, rows by columns. But it would be harder to make the blocks bigger because the size of fabric that you're working with is a Jolly Bar, and that doesn't get bigger. Do I suggest getting the triangles on a roll book to learn how to use them better? Yes. And we could maybe, we did do a triangles on a row sew along where we did, I think it was about 2 years ago, and we did that with the book, and that was pretty fun. Sharon is asking, with the Jolly Bars, do I need 1 or 2 bars? It depends on the one, but you can scroll down, click on the Jolly Bar, scroll down, and it will tell you fabric requirements for that one. When do I think Jolly Bar 4 will be coming out? Probably within 12 months. So we are starting that in the next couple of months. And I want to give a big thank you for my super chats. Valeria Bauer says, "Thank you for making my day so happy." And then, oh my gosh, Janet Buster, thank you so much. She says, "Thank you for all you do." And then thank you for all of our new members that have joined. Now, next week, I will not have a video. I'm going to Atlanta, Georgia with my daughter, and I'm going Thursday night. She's going to be competing all weekend. And then the week after will be a premiere video where I show you block 2 of Heartfelt. I hope all of you have a great weekend, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye.